I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with, now they looking nervously. And I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way.
Coming out with a statement. You really changed, man, all your music and arrangement. You don't know shit, shut your mouth, you can save it. I'm the same dude that got his come up from the basement. 100 songs, 100 weeks, didn't change it. Experiments, development, intelligence, and patience. I'll do it all again, cause I never feel complacent. Let's keep the good vibes, positivity.
What's up, guys? Figured I'd come in and we would watch a little of the Leilani Simon trial. The Monster Mother. All right, guys, let me do the Star Spangled Banner and then we will get started. All right, here we go, guys. All right, guys. Thank you so much. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. So let's get ready to watch the trial. Right now, it's on a break. So I'm assuming that they are going to come right back. So let's get it up and going and let's watch it, guys. All right. Hold on just a minute, guys. All right, guys, here we go. Hello, Regina. How are you? Right now, it is on a break but we are getting ready to watch it. I hope you are doing well. Thank you, Regina. I just put it in your Discord. I hope you don't mind, dear. Thank you for being here. It's good to have you here. Oh, we're just waiting on the court to come back. And then when we get started. Oh, I hear you. We delivered some more stuff. Well, we took it to Becca's mom, and she took it over there last night. So, or Saturday. Sorry, I was thinking today was Sunday. But it's good to see you. I hope you're not too tired. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Forever. Taking forever. Okay. Was you out the whole weekend, Regina? I hope it is. I really do. This girl's been showing no remorse whatsoever. They was talking about just a few minutes ago, but when it went to this, um, showing pictures of, I'm assuming, um, little Quentin, and she didn't even act like it bothered her. But like I've been telling everybody, I hope she gets the death penalty. I'd like to see her get it right then and there, not wait forever. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out, Regina. I will. I will check that out definitely. I would definitely check that out. Oh, I hear you. Sound like you've been busy. Hi, guys, everybody in the bushes that's not talking. Thank you for being here. I wish they'd hurry back with the get the lawyer, get the judge back in there so they can go back. Thank you, Regina, dear. Thank you so much. Summer Thunder, hey girl. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. As soon as the judge gets back, we're gonna watch some Leilani, whatever they call it. Thank you. All right, here she comes. All right, I'm on mute so y'all can listen to it.
Okay, so we're back on the record, SPCR 22-03364J6. I took a few minutes to, first of all, review the State's Exhibit 77.
Can
And
y'all hear that? Put a one in chat if you
I've come
can.
to this determination. Obviously, the material here is of evidentiary value. However, what I would like the state to do is to go through the exhibit.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And
I'm going to mute so we can listen to it.
make sure there are no duplicates, one. And number two, that there's no exhibit here or picture here that's not been shown to be those of Quentin. I recognize one of the photos that the earlier anthropologist identified as, well, she identified it as material that was sent to her from the landfill, but that it was not bone. So she didn't make a determination about that. Um, and also, she stated that the um, the gross amount of material that was transported from here to Quantico contained some material that was either non-human, um, or and not Quentin. So, what I would like for you to do is go through and make sure that any photos like that are removed. Um, and I want you to go through and make sure that each photo has its own evidentiary value. And then last, what I want to do is have you present each of these. I keep calling them exhibits. This is exhibit 77. Each one of the individual photos within exhibit 77, you'll present those to your witness and let them um, identify it and tell you the information that you believe to be relevant is. Um, but the photos will go in individually. They won't be in a binder. I think the binder really does elevate this particular exhibit. It makes it more special, um, and it's evidence the same as any other evidence today. So I'm going to ask you to go back through, make sure we pare it down, and prepare it to go forward without the notebook. I will tell you, if you like to, you can do it that way, or you can do it on the screen. I know you're not prepared today to do it digitally.
I can do it on the screen, but I do need to respond to a couple of the
Sure.
portions of the court's order there. So first, I can say that there are no duplicate images in here. There are 66 images because they took 66 pictures.
Okay.
Those pictures were taken in Savannah. Now, I cannot, and nobody can, probably not even the forensic anthropologist, go through here and say which ones of the bones in these photographs were determined later at the lab to be human versus non-human and call them out here, because that's a determination that wasn't made until the bones were at the lab and each assigned their individual number. So if I were to hand that binder to Dr. Christensen, she could say, 28 TAC 1, I identified as not of human origin, but I didn't take these pictures. I can't tell you which one of these pictures 28 TAC 1 ended up being. So the only way to do this, and what we're trying to do here, is introduce this as an exhibit that represents all of the material that was collected and packaged on November 18 as suspected human remains and sent to Quantico for analysis. Beyond that, that is, I understand why the court has asked me to do that, but that is just simply not something that can be done with this exhibit, because there's a determination that wasn't done until later by the witness that we've already heard from.
The non-human versus
Right.
human.
Right. I mean, the whole point.
And
of
I
what they were doing-
understand that.
So I can do it. I mean, I guess here's what I would propose. The exhibit marked is authenticated by the clerk, or authenticated by the witness and introduced into evidence. So now we have one binder of evidence. And then of that, I would publish 3 images. 3 images. And the way I can do it is I have them on my computer now. I could pull up 3 images digitally that are in that binder and have the witness talk about those three and what they appear to her to be. And what I'm doing here is just the ones that are most obviously human, because that's what she can testify to as a lay witness, I think, and then be done with it. So that's how I would propose to do it.
Okay, so you'll publish three of the photos.
It's like 3 or 4, I think. That I was
Okay,
gonna
that's
put out.
fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna hold you there.
Mhm.
But the images, the 66 images that are in the binder, you would want those admitted into
That
evidence
should,
and
it
be
should
allowed
all
to go
come
out.
into, it should all come into evidence, because it is the evidence that was collected, and it is the evidence that was transported. And then, it's, the witness from Quantico has now testified that, like, not all, but something like 75 or 80% of those.
Randy Bassmaster, how are you?
Human. To me, I don't think that should stop us.
I figured we sit here and watch the Leilani trial for a little bit. I hope you're doing better.
Set up for that analysis. Let's see evidence in the case.
It's good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Hilliard?
Hit that like, share, and subscribe for me.
So just I understand what Mr. Dean's proposing, because he wants to, and I agree. Those are all the pictures that were taken.
Mhm.
They're going to come in as a single exhibit. It's going to publish 3 photographs up there. And my second question is are we not going to broadcast those photographs? That's the only other really concern I had that wasn't addressed yet.
Okay, so your concern is that the images, when shown on the video, that they're not shown.
Right, at least not broadcast for
That's fine.
for that particular portion.
I don't have a
they
problem
can.
with that, Mr. Dean.
I would support that.
Okay.
So I think that resolves the issue as to these exhibits, if I'm understanding everything correct.
I already got a thumbs up.
So that works for me.
They'll divert the camera. Avert the camera. So, okay.
All right, guys, I'll be
So
right
is
back.
there
Go ahead and leave it.
anything
I'm gonna
else
leave it
that
on
we
here. I'm
can
just gonna
take
mute,
up for
and I'll be right
bringing
back.
in the jury?
I gotta see who's at the door.
Not for me, Judge.
No, you're.
All right, very well. Please bring in the jury.
Jurors in sworn.
All right, thank you very much, Williams. Please have a seat. Welcome back. We're going to start up testimony once again. Was everyone able to comply with the instructions?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There goes that song again. Okay. All right, Mr. Dean.
Savannah Solomon.
Perfect. Beautiful temperature. It's 80 degrees outside. Raise your right hand. The evidence you shall give the court and jury and the trial decision should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, good afternoon.
All right, could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hey, my name is Special Agent Savannah Solomon with the FBI.
And what office are you with?
I'm with the Savannah Resident Agency out of the Atlanta Division
How long have you been an FBI special agent?
for 6 years.
And can you tell us a little bit about your educational background before joining the FBI?
I attended Georgia Tech, where I majored in economics, international affairs, and French, and went straight to Tulane for my master's in business administration and finance and entrepreneurship. Following graduation, I joined the FBI as an analyst, where I worked in Charlotte and the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force Fusion Center in Washington, D.C. before becoming an agent for 8 years.
Okay. So after working in Charlotte as an analyst, you went to the academy, I guess?
I went to Washington, D.C. at our headquarters for 3 years and then the academy.
Okay. And is Savannah, where you've been, Savannah, Georgia, I should say, where you've been the entire time as a full-fledged special agent?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you work closely with Brad Snyder?
I do.
I want to ask you about your involvement in the case. Did you become involved on day one on October 5th?
I did.
And did you go to Chatham County Police Department headquarters and participate in an interview or some interviews?
I did.
What detective were you paired up with?
Detective Nobles.
And whom did you interview that day of the three that we can talk about?
Daniel Youngkin.
Okay. Can you tell us about his level of cooperation in the day one interviews?
He was forthcoming in regards to items about Quentin. He minimized on drug use and was defensive of Leilani.
What do you mean by defensive about Leilani?
He believed anything that she had told him that day and was told us he believed it was true.
Okay. So he didn't want to believe that she had done anything, basically.
Correct.
Can you tell us about his demeanor and tone in the interviews and his willingness to answer questions?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for opinion.
You're asking about the demeanor that she observed?
Mhm.
I'm gonna.
I interviewed him twice that day, once around 1:30 in the afternoon and once around 11 p.m. So it was a long day. He was willing to answer questions. I'd say by 11 was pretty tired of any line of questioning.
Okay. After your, well, let me ask you this. At some point that day, did you go to the residence at 535 Buckhalter Road?
I did.
And where did that fit into your involvement at Chatham County Police Department headquarters that you've been talking about?
After my first interview of Danny, the group kind of reconvened on what had happened in the different interviews. And because there was no need to continue talking at that point, Taylor Burns and I drove to the Buckhalter Road residence to assist with the search.
Now, were you present when Chatham County Police Department forensics were photographing the residence and various outbuildings and things?
I was.
And did you go in the garage yourself?
I did.
I'd like to display an image from State's Exhibit 10. It's image 109 in State's Exhibit 10. And let me see whether I can get the screen to cooperate here. All right. See that up on the screen?
I do.
What is that red thing? First of all, what room or building are we in at that house right now?
This is the garage outbuilding beyond, like separate from the house and the pool area.
What is that red thing towards the bottom center of the picture?
That's a Mickey Mouse race car driver toy.
Is it like a stuffy kind of thing?
It is.
Okay. Can you describe how that thing looked to you that day?
As you can see, it's just kind of thrown in a garage with a bunch of tools and covered in cobwebs and looks like it's been there for a minute.
Was this significant to you?
The singing drove me
It was.
crazy too,
Why is it?
Granny Bass.
Because Leilani had reported
I hope
Quentin
you don't let her
missing
go. I
his
pray
favorite
they
toy, a Mickey Mouse toy.
And is that something that anybody else mentioned to you, him having a favorite toy, Mickey Mouse toy?
No. No one knew about a Mickey Mouse toy when I asked them about it.
I see no remorse in this girl's eye whatsoever.
After, well, let me show you a video clip. At some point, did you have an exchange with the defendant while she was between interviews?
I did.
And can you tell us what was going on at that point? Like, where were you and where was she?
During the resident search, after it had gotten into nighttime, I was called back to Chatham County Police because they needed more people to escort the three individuals that were still there. So at that point, I was just sitting in the hallway with eyes on the different doors, and she was sitting in an interview room.
At some point, did she open up to you about some of her behavioral issues or anger issues?
She did.
Thank you, Regina. I'll go check them out here in a
I'll play
minute.
for you a clip from State's Exhibit 13. It's a file bearing the file name Interview Room 2126 to 2229.
Need anything before we sit down for the phone?
Okay.
Thank you so much for being patient with us. It's a lot of things we're trying to work through and figure out. So, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Did I do well?
Yeah, I appreciate you.
As much detail as I could. I was being like, this is who.
A lot of good detail in here.
Pardon me, this is the wrong clip. I'm looking for Interview Room 2057 to 2103.
There are days that I wake up or days that something so little just might happen. And it's like a trigger. And it's not. And it's almost like I'm a completely different person. The way I talk, the way I move, the way I look at you, everything, even my tone of voice. Can you feel that happening? You don't? Where it's like, when it happens, I have finally reached a certain level of anger or stress or whatever it might be at that moment, that it's like a switch. Yeah. I don't even realize it until after I've calmed down that I just seriously tripped on you and treated you like that for no reason. And then I'm left apologizing to everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm crazy. I don't know what happened. I don't even know why I did that. And half the time when it happens or randomly happens like that, and it's not like the slowly transition or whatever, it's it's because I don't even know how to explain it. If I'm doing pretty good throughout the day and I got a good day overall, and then something might trigger me, it's slower. Okay. I can feel it. I can feel myself changing the way I talk, the way I think, the opinions I have, everything. I can feel the difference. But when it happens, like a day like today, with the amount of stuff going on and stress and emotion or whatever, that's just not.
So that was day one of the investigation, right?
Correct.
On that day, was there a point where you spent some time alone with the defendant in a setting that wasn't recorded?
Yes, at some point around that time period of that video clip.
Did it have something to do with a cigarette or something like that?
She needed a smoke break outside, so I walked out with her.
At some point during that interaction, or maybe it was another one that day, did she say something to you about getting a tattoo?
Yes, she showed me her Hawaiian symbol tattoo about the waves going up and down, and said that she wanted to get a tattoo in honor of Quentin along with it.
And this was on October 5.
It was.
She was talking about getting a tattoo.
Basically, yeah.
Honor of him, yes.
Okay. At this point in time, was she still kind of representing the story that Quentin had been abducted?
Yes.
Was anybody yet talking about Quentin being dead?
We suspected it within the investigative team, but it had not been discussed outside of the investigative team.
I'd like to ask you a couple questions about your involvement over the following days. Did you follow up in reference to Danny's workplace?
I did.
Can you describe that follow-up, please, without talking about what anybody said to you, but what did y'all go out there to do?
Detective Noble and I met with Danny and Leilani's supervisor and spoke with him. He put us in touch with the corporate security who had video footage from the plant or the warehouse.
And did they turn footage around to you?
They did.
Why was it important to you to go out and talk to Danny's boss and to get video footage of what he looked like when he was leaving work?
We are doing our best to corroborate every single statement that had been made to us in the previous 24 hours, to include how and when Danny learned that Quentin was missing.
How he reacted?
Correct.
I'd like to draw your attention to the defendant's October 8th interview with Bridget Rock at the FBI office in Savannah.
Okay.
Were you present for that?
Not in the interview room, but I was in the office observing.
How did you observe that interview?
Closed circuit television through the office.
Okay. So did you watch it as it was occurring?
I watched much of it as it was occurring. I was also watching Danny in a simultaneous interview.
Did you observe any unusual behavior by the defendant on that day with reference to Bridget Rock's belongings or equipment or anything?
I did. Agent Brock had stepped out of the room, but the cameras were still rolling, and the defendant walked up to Miss Brock's computer system and unplugged it. And when it made a noise, she plugged it back in and sat back down.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to catch you.
Sorry, that was after looking at the cameras and down the hallway.
Was there something about Bridget Brock's notes as well that had been left on the desk?
Not that I observed.
Okay. That evening, October 8th, that was the hotel surveillance operation.
It was.
And how many nights did that go on for? Was it one? Two?
One night.
Okay, just the one night. Were you involved in proposing that idea to Daniel Youngkin?
Yes,
And that would have been like the day before on the 7th?
it was.
Okay. Tell us about his reaction to that proposal.
The day he came to us, he was pretty broken in a lot of ways. He was still trying to figure out what he believed had happened. He was worried about his child, and was beginning to have conflicts between believing Leilani less, but also his loyalties to her, and was working through that. So when we got to the point of talking through a lot of his concerns there, he was willing, and actually was the one who said, are you going to want to wire up the hotel room? And we said, only with your permission. We wouldn't do that without your permission. So
Are you saying he guessed? I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
we had it.
Were y'all planning to ask him that?
We were planning to ask him that. So we were going down that road, but he was the first one to address wiring the room.
Okay, so he's the one who brought it up, even though you were about to.
Right.
Okay. Can you discuss briefly just the logistics of setting this up and then the monitoring plan that was put in place?
We had 2 adjacent hotel rooms at a nearby hotel, and our tech team worked their magic and used their special techniques to put audio and video monitoring equipment in the one room, and the live monitoring occurred right next door. So as we were in the next door room, we were observing via video feed and audio what was happening right next to us.
Can you, were you involved in monitoring yourself?
I was there the entire time that they were awake.
Okay.
Yes,
And so if you had the opportunity to see all their interactions,
I did.
can you just sort of, I understand we're talking about like a whole night,
Mhm.
but can you kind of summarize the nature of their interactions?
They were emotional, sometimes combative. They were never on the same page with what was going on with Quentin with the investigation. They took breaks to just go get a cigarette or go get a drink and kind of come back.
Was he asking her about the truthfulness or lack thereof of the Origel story?
Repeatedly.
And what was she saying in response to those inquiries?
She doubled down on the Origel and brought up her alibi with Miss D.
Is it fair to say that she was telling Danny the same lie that she was telling you?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading questions.
I mean, the leading question is a question that calls for a particular answer. It's a yes or no question.
He is correct. You can go ahead with your question.
Is it fair to say that she was telling Danny the same lie that she was telling the police?
Yes. She was telling Danny the same story. She was sorry.
I'll just withdraw the questions.
Yeah.
Is there anything that occurred during this full evening and night of hotel recordings that
Objection, Your Honor. It's a narrative question now. It's open-ended and broad.
I don't know how one could possibly object to a question that hasn't been finished, first of all, and I can assure you it does not call for a narrative response.
Maybe for overruling, Judge.
And-
I promise you that.
Be careful with the microphones for Miss Natalie.
It's an open-ended question, Judge. It doesn't ask for a specific answer unless the witness testifies to what they want to testify. That's exactly what a narrative question is, and that's improper.
I'm going to overrule and allow Mr. Dean to ask this question.
Was there anything that occurred during the hotel surveillance operation that suggested to you that Danny knew more than he was letting on or anything along those lines?
No.
I'd like to play a couple of clips from these recordings that have already been admitted into evidence and ask you a couple questions about them, okay?
Okay.
This is from State's Exhibit 32, the file beginning with 1941.
Question. Do you mind? Are you gonna get ahead of me? I'm asking you a question before I ask you this question. No, because I need to know. Are you gonna get angry?
No, I can't tell you not to get angry, but no more questions.
Why did you lie to me about the order?
I didn't. I did not lie to you about the order.
So you went and met Miss.
Yes, and I drove there and I drove out. And they tried to say that again, and I asked them to show me a picture of Missy or whatever. Did y'all speak to my phone late? Did you speak to her or did you speak to her husband? Is what I wanted to know. You know? And they said her husband. Why didn't you speak to her?
I stopped the playback at 1942-18 on the timestamp. What was that claim that the defendant just made about what the FBI had told her as to whom they had interviewed in reference to the Misty story? What did she say there?
She stated we had not spoken to the person she referenced as Misty, but we had spoken to that person's husband.
She said that y'all told her that.
Correct.
Okay. And this is on the night of the 8th, right?
Correct.
You said you were there for observing Bridget Brock's interview with the defendant earlier on this day, right?
Yes.
And anybody from the FBI told her anything like that?
No.
I'm opening up the clip on the same exhibit with the file name that begins 2029. And I'm going to start the playback at 20:33:05 on the timestamp.
And you went and met Missy.
Wait a minute, Missy, got Oreo.
And you said they told her?
I think so, yes.
What did she say?
And she confirmed it.
She confirmed
I'm
it?
pretty sure, yes. It's not like they sat there and told me what was said.
Oh, but they.
They said that they spoke Mexican and they didn't question me no more about the org yet.
Oh, okay.
What we just heard there, is that a accurate characterization of the defendant's interactions with Bridget Rock during that interview earlier that day?
No.
Sometime shortly after this, October 8th hotel room monitoring thing, is that when the phone wire operation started?
It started on October 9th, yes.
And was Danny cooperative with that as well?
Yes, he and his mother gave consent for us to monitor his cell phone.
Were you involved in the monitoring of that wiretap moving forward in time?
I was.
Were you like the point person for it?
I was. I reviewed it every day.
I want to move forward to the October 12th interview. We've heard testimony from Special Agent Snyder about this. I just want to ask you about a couple of things. Was there a point, what was the main point of bringing her in? Were you bringing her in to notify her of anything in particular that day on October 12th?
That was the day that we provided the death notifications and notification of the landfill search to the family members.
And at what point in that day or that interview did you notify the defendant of that?
We never actually said that Quentin was dead with her. It was understood. So maybe halfway through the time, we made it clear, but we never said the word dead.
At some point during that interview, did you tell her something to the effect of, we're about to start searching that landfill and we're 98% sure we're going to find Quentin in it?
I was very confident we were going to find Quentin in the landfill when I spoke to her, yes.
Did you tell her that?
Yes.
How did she react to that?
She said he wasn't in the bag, but it was hard to characterize. It wasn't shock, which is the most surprising thing of it.
Did you inform her mother, the defendant's mother, Billy Joe Howell, of the same thing at some point that day?
About an hour later.
Yeah, was that after the defendant's interview had concluded?
It was.
Where were you when you informed the defendant's mother of that?
Brad and our victim specialist and I went to the Buckhalter Road residence and informed her in her living room.
And how did she react when you told her that?
I told her in order. I told her I was going to tell her 3 things. And when she was done processing one, we would move to the next. So the first thing I told her was that Quentin had died. And she showed anguish. When she was ready to hear the next thing, I told her that we were going to find him in the landfill and that we would be announcing that search was commencing. And she pulled back from me and she said, "My baby is in the trash." And
Your Honor, hearsay, she knows that.
I'm sorry.
Sustain,
May I respond, please, Your Honor?
please.
The witness is describing Billy Joe Howell asking a question. And it can't be a statement offered for the truth. It's a reaction.
She can offer a reaction. But the question, well, what she stated was what she
So-
said, what Billy Joe said.
They told them before they went and searched the landfill
You said that to
that Quentin was already gone.
You believed him to be in the landfill and that you're gonna find him in the landfill. Did she make any statement?
And they searched the landfill for what, a week and a half, almost
no.
2 weeks?
How did she react?
So they knew
Shock,
2 weeks in
horror,
advance.
disbelief, anguish that there were 4 other people that we then notified that were at the house. And it was a picture of 5 different versions of anguish.
And was there a contrast there in how those people reacted and how the defendant had reacted?
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Is that right?
Now,
They told him
what was
before the landfill search
I want to ask you
that he was already gone.
October 24th.
Okay.
Okay, but first I'd just like to ask you that What was your typical day like between October 12th and October 24th? What did that look like?
Landfill operations commenced a few days following the 12th. So as those were going, I would get to the landfill for the sunrise brief to try to represent the case team and give some sort of morale or
He already
update
knew he was
motivation. I would go back to the office and review Danny's calls and texts from the previous day and attend to any investigative or administrative work that needed to be done. We were continuously following leads from the public and additional investigative avenues to make sure that we didn't close any doors too soon. And then Taylor and I would drive to the landfill to meet the team as they were wrapping up ahead of their lunch break so we could check boots, give updates, check on the status of everything, and kind of go in with everybody, and then back to the office.
Now, moving to October 24th, on this day, did the defendant make any recorded statements to anybody other than law enforcement?
Yeah, she was on the local news.
And did you watch that news interview?
I did.
Do you see in front of you an exhibit marked as State's Exhibit 71?
I do.
All right. Your Honor, this is a certified copy of the defendant's October 24th news interview with WTSC. It's supported by
Hold on.
Do you know what that is? You need to pull it out of the envelope to see or what?
It's labeled WTOC interview redacted.
Okay. How does that exhibit differ from the one you just introduced?
This one is titled, Exhibit 71 is titled WTOC interview.
Okay. But I mean, what is 72 in relation to 71?
72 is what was shown on the news.
Okay.
And the 71 is the unredacted footage from WTOC.
Okay. And so 72 is?
What was shown on the news from WTOC
Okay.
of the news article.
72, is that like just the portions from the WTSC broadcast stitched together to show only the defendant talking?
Yes.
And like not the anchors and reporters and so forth?
Yes.
At this point, Your Honor, I introduce State Exhibit 72.
No objection.
Now, what are we going to hear the defendant say in this video? To the extent you remember.
That she didn't know where Quentin was and hoped he would be found, but if she had had anything to take responsibility for, that she would.
And with that, I'll publish it, Your Honor.
My kids woke up to me screaming, "Where's Quentin?" and running through the house. I ran and looked everywhere, inside, outside, just started screaming for help. I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station. And I will walk with her. All we want is justice for Quentin Simon. That's it. We want justice too.
Whatever cost it is. We don't care the cost.
We want answers just like everybody else does. At the end of it all, we love you, baby Q. My little monkey, we want to hold.
That's an interview that's filmed
That
and
bitch
aired on
just
October.
stood there and done that, knowing that she done that.
Had you been in contact
My opinion is, I think Billy Joe knowed about it.
During the investigation.
With both.
Billy
Leilani
Joe,
and
whatever
Michelle, yes.
her name is.
Can
I
you tell
think
us
she
how you
knew.
came to be in phone contact with the defendant?
On one of the days the team was at the residence, I walked out to give a backpack to her brother because it had medication in it. And during that conversation, the defendant offered me her phone number.
So from that point forward, you're able to call and text with her, I guess?
Yes,
Okay. This same day, October 24th, that she does this interview where she says, we don't know what happened, we just want answers and justice. And if he's alive, we want, did she send you a text message saying something different from that?
she did.
Do you see in front of you a document marked as State's Exhibit 73?
I do.
Can you tell us, is that a portion of your text message traffic with the defendant?
It is.
All right. Does it fairly and accurately depict at least this portion of the messages that the two of you exchanged?
It does.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State 73. Let me look at it. No objection, Judge.
Exhibit 73 is admitted without objection.
All right. On the first page, are you with me?
I am.
Okay. Do you see that last entry at the bottom there?
I do.
Is this an
Me too, Granny Bassmaster.
incoming text that you received from the defendant or an outgoing text that you sent?
It is an incoming text that I received.
And what is the date and time of this text?
October 24th, 2022 at 5:45 p.m.
So that would have been right about the time that this interview was airing on the evening news, I guess.
Probably, yes.
Okay. What did she message you at that time?
Do you want me to read it?
Yes.
I'm not lying for Danny anymore. The reason why my story about Oragel and shit didn't make sense was because Danny told me to say that. He was the one who left, and my phone was in the car from my previous trip, and his was on the charger. I was already smoking a blunt on the porch, and when I got done, Danny was already laying in bed. All the lights were off, and I glanced at the kids as I was getting in the bed to go to sleep. That is why he took off. I'm innocent of this. He was the last one to see Quentin. He is that texted the babysitter, and he was that wasn't in bed when I woke for just a moment, and it was still dark, and he was the one who the only set of keys to my car the morning of my son's disappearance.
Now, did you later bring her in for an interview to memorialize that statement?
I did.
Formal interview. And when was that conducted?
October 31st
Where was it conducted?
at the FBI office.
What was your approach in this interview?
We really just wanted to have, it was a new story. And so we wanted to make sure that we had correctly captured what she was presenting to us. So we asked her to talk about what she had provided in the text and to just give the context and the complete story of that.
And did she essentially repeat to you what she had said in the text message?
More or less over the course of longer.
Okay. During this interview, we've seen some interviews to this point where she's sort of being challenged on things and has a certain reaction to that. During this interview, were you challenging her or pushing back, or were you more just letting her talk?
No, the goal was to just let her talk and get her whole story.
And what was her demeanor like in this interview?
She was affable. We were laughing, the three of us, Detective Lemons and I and Leilani. She was open, calm.
Now, did you, on this same day that interview was conducted, did you all collect DNA samples from the defendant and her mother?
We did.
Can you tell me about the process for doing that? Who did it and what was done?
Usually we let them do it themselves when they're consenting. Basically, you have a giant Q-tip and you scrape the inside of the cheek to get some cheek cells, and you place it in a plastic baggie and seal it up in front of everybody.
All right, and is it marked with the name of the person who it came from?
It is.
Did you log those into evidence at the Savannah FBI office?
I did.
One item for the defendant's DNA sample and one for others?
That's correct.
All right. Were you involved in having those sent to the FBI lab in Quantico at some point?
Yes, I directed them to be FedExed to the lab.
And did that happen?
It did.
When did that happen in relation to November 18, the day that the remains were discovered?
We sent the DNA up on or around November 1st, just so it would be on ready for the lab.
Okay. Now, we've talked a little bit about the phone monitoring operation. And I think you said you were the one who was doing that on a day-to-day basis.
Yes,
Do you see in front of you a disc marked as States Exhibit 74?
I do.
Do you know what that disc is?
These are select recordings from Danny's wire.
Did they fairly and accurately capture a couple of the conversations that they had during this investigation?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State 72.
Objection.
Department 74.
74.
And I would ask to publish just a couple portions of this. There are two files on this disk. The first one is a call with the date 10/30/2022 in the subject line. When would that call have been made?
This would have been the night before that Halloween interview would have been made on October 30th.
And I'm going to open that file up and play starting at 9:50.
I've been getting up every day. 7 or 8 in the morning. It happens, I guess, with sober in the morning. I wake up early. I go to bed at a decent time. I get up in the morning and make breakfast for everybody. I clean the house. And I'm a completely different person. I didn't notice what I take care of the house. And clean. I do dishes.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've done that.
Yeah. No, I do. I actually cook dinner and I do the things you deserve for me to do. I'm sorry. I will never touch cook or cooking when you're making. I become angry and impulsive when I'm on it.
I stopped the playback at 11:05. What was it we heard her say there about the effect of cocaine on her?
That it makes her angry and impulsive.
The next file on this disk has the date 10/31/2022 in the file name. When would that call have been made?
The evening of October 31st, 2022.
Is that the same day of the interview in which she was putting it on Danny?
It is.
And I'm going to play here from 27:02 on. We'll go with 27:03.
So what did you do when you went out after I fell asleep?
All I did was go get some lunch. I got my work done.
All right, what was that exchange there that we heard?
Danny asked Leilani again what she had done after he had gone to sleep the night that Quentin disappeared. And she said that she had done a line and went out to get the Orajel.
Now, did that conflict in any way with what she had just told you in the October 31st interview?
It did.
In what manner?
She said that she didn't go get Orajel and during the interview, and that Danny had been the one driving the car.
Now, at some point, you were at the residence on October 5th at some point, right?
I was.
It was the pack and play that Quentin was said to have been sleeping in, and the pillowcase in the pack and play, was that taken into evidence?
That day it was, yes.
What agency initially took it into evidence?
The Chatham County Police Department.
And was the pillow and pillowcase at some point turned over to you from the Chatham County Police Department?
It was.
Who gave it to you?
Detective Lemons.
And what did you do?
I prepared it to be FedEx to the lab for analysis.
In Quantico?
The FBI lab, yes, in Quantico.
And did that happen? Was it FedEx to the lab?
It was.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask you about November 18th.
Okay.
Were you involved in the coordination and supervision of the landfill search throughout?
Yes, I staffed all of the volunteers from Savannah and Brunswick. And as I mentioned earlier, I was present at least twice a day. If I didn't have administrative or investigative work on a given day, I was dressed out searching.
Now, we've heard some testimony to this point that suspected human remains were found there that day after some period of unsuccessful searching. Were you there at the outset of that discovery that day?
I was at the United States Attorney's Office facilitating an interview, and Brad called me and said that a skull had been found. And I immediately left the meeting at the U.S. Attorney's Office and quickly got to the landfill and was there for the rest of the day and the additional findings.
Can you describe what was going on when you got
Guys, is my screen working good for y'all?
Somber, but
Or is it lagging or slow or
looking
something like that?
very carefully. We knew we were looking for small pieces of a small child. And fortunately, the skull is more recognizable. And so we had believed that if we found one piece, all other pieces that we would find would be within 6 feet of the trash as it was compacted. So we knew that that was our day when we found him at the beginning of the day. And so we were.
Okay, thank
So
you.
you can imagine there are a lot of bones in a landfill. And so we had to sort through chicken wings and T-bones and all of that to find what would appear to be human and separate those out. And that was throughout the day.
What do you remember about the period of time that passed from the first apparent item, I guess from the first apparent item of human remains being found and you getting that call from Brad to when you'll kind of stopped identifying suspected human remains that day? How long did that process of discovery take?
It took, I would estimate, around 5 to 6 hours. We finished the search from where the skull had been found, laid out more trash and searched that and broke for lunch. That search section had been pushed over during lunch, but then we realized that there were more likely bones within it that appeared to be human. And so I asked them to pull the deck back, meaning the trash they pushed aside that we'd been through, they were able to pull it back with the bulldozer, and we researched that. And so after that, we did one more deck, maybe two, without finding anything, and that was the end of the day.
What do you mean by one more deck?
So the landfill had laid out a large open space that was flat. And we knew that pretty specific area where we expected to find Quentin, but trash as far as Statesboro was coming to our landfill. And so you imagine it compacted very quickly. So we had to dig through the compacted trash, pull out a reasonable amount to search at a time in a safe place. We had safety officers out because there's a lot that can cut you. And we didn't have an issue with noxious fumes, but that was also a concern. So we pull that out. The safety officers would look through the deck and make sure that the search team was cleared to go forward. And then we had these rakes, and you would rake through every little piece and open trash bags that were still open and work your way until you had discarded all of the trash behind you, and the group kind of converged in a circle and turned in the bones that we had collected or the items of interest that we weren't quite sure, just needed someone else to look at. Most of us carried a bag on our taped to ourselves so we could just drop the bones in and keep going when there was something like a skull, or on this day, a swath of skin or pieces that needed immediate attention. We would call someone forward. Since I was not a searcher that day, I would go onto the deck to get pieces to bring back to the evidence tent.
How far apart on the search day were pieces of Quentin found from one another?
That's kind of hard to describe because he was strewn because he'd been strewn when he was compacted into his place of rest at the time, and then the bulldozer dug up chunks and laid out the deck, and then we spread them out. And so he was found across 2 or 3 decks, and the decks were, half a football field. So many searchers found different pieces of him, yes.
So if you do the math,
Jesus Christ, people.
maybe a half of a football field.
If they let this woman off,
Talking about like 1.5 football field area over which
half a football field.
Once he was spread out, or once the decks were spread out, yes.
Do you see in front of you a binder marked as State's Exhibit?
I see no remorse in that bitch's eye.
You see in front of you a binder?
I do.
Is it marked as a State's Exhibit?
It is. It's marked as
What's the number?
77.
Could you take a look through that and tell me if you recognize it? What's in there?
Hey, Tina. How are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for being here.
What are you looking at there?
I'm looking at evidence photos of human remains.
And are those the pieces of Quentin that you were talking about being found that day?
They are.
Where were these photographed before they were transported to the lab at Quantico?
They were.
And do these photographs fairly and accurately depict the suspected remains of Quentin Simon as you viewed them that day?
They do.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 77.
Subject to the publishing and, I guess, rules we talked about earlier, Judge, no objection.
Thank you, yeah, 77 is admitted.
Thank you. I'd like to publish just a few. First of all, there's like 60-some pictures in there, right? I'd like to publish just a few of them and ask you a couple of questions about them, okay?
Okay.
Can you flip to the first page in that binder?
Yes.
She looked like she eating good in jail, don't she?
It is.
Looked like she gained some weight
What
since
is-
she ain't had no
What
coke.
does that appear to you to be, and what did it appear to you to be that day?
It appeared, it is the top half of a skull. Um,
Sorry.
that's-
Can you flip to the second image in this binder?
yes.
No, bitch, you need to look at that instead of looking up. You're the one that done that.
What does this appear to you to be, and what did it appear to you to be that day?
When we found this and brought it to the tent, we weren't sure when we saw it from here. What I know now and can see is it is a severed foot, cut from the ankle, looking from the inside of the ankle down.
Can you see one of the ankle bones in this image, just to orient us?
Yes, to orient, this is the ankle bone where it was cut, and then you see almost a left toenail, and you can start seeing the shape of the foot from there.
Turning to the next page in the binder,
Yes.
what is this?
That is the same foot flipped over so you can clearly see the skin of the foot. This is his heel. And then you shake down to the tips of the toe bones through the five. We had a huge poster of Quentin after bath time, dressed and barefooted, on the top of the landfill to remember what we were looking for. And so we had been looking at his foot and his forehead for 5 weeks, and that is what we found. That is his foot.
Don't be wiping them fake ass tears, you bitch. You ain't crying.
And finally, the fourth image in the binder.
Yes.
What do you believe this to be?
I believe that it is a swath of skin going from the length of a body, of a toddler's body. So the shoulders come through the back and then down one
There's
leg.
a special place in hell for you right now, waiting.
This was a piece that Officer
She knows.
Zerke passed to Kim Johnson, who passed to me as we carried out with tongs, because at the time it was hard to recognize, but we knew it stood out from everything else we had seen in the landfill.
She knows she's on camera. That's the only reason she's crying. That bitch has no remorse whatsoever.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions about getting Quentin up to the FBI lab in Quantico. Okay? We've heard testimony from Special Agent Taylor Burns that he was responsible for initially transporting Quentin's remains from the landfill that day to the FBI office in Savannah. Does that align with your recollection?
Yes, we all met him at the office afterwards.
And he's described the packaging of Quentin into 4 different bags and placing him inside of a box.
Yes.
Were you involved in the further transport of Quentin to the FBI lab?
I was.
Can you tell us about that?
Starting from the beginning of the day, or just the logistics?
Sure. What happened from who took them from the FBI lab in Savannah to anywhere else?
So we arranged for private transport for Quentin. No one felt comfortable FedExing him or putting him on any other way. So I wrapped the box and drove him to Macon where I met another agent who is on our fly team. And I handed Quentin to Agent Keys, who took him to Atlanta and kept him secure until the next day, where he flew him on an FBI aircraft to meet the lab in Virginia.
Is that how Quentin got to the FBI lab at Quantico?
It is.
Do you see in front of you two pictures stapled together and marked as States Exhibit? I think it should be 93, is that right?
92?
92. Okay. Do you recognize those images?
I do.
What are those images show?
That is how I wrapped Quentin's box to transport him. And so the first image was what I could offer to the family when I gave a second death notification. And the second image is how he rode with me in our truck.
Do these images fairly and accurately depict the events that you've been talking about?
Yes, I took the second picture myself.
I'd offer this in a States Exhibit 92.
Minute without objection.
Publish the first image here. Can you describe to us what we're seeing here?
We had Scott Schumann and Jeff Allen were at the office with me for me to retrieve Quentin and to borrow Scott's work truck to drive him. We, three of us, had just a quiet time wrapping him appropriately, and we thought this would be a nice image to be able to give. It's what I gave to Leilani and Billy Joe when I told them we had found him in the landfill. But he is in that box. He's in the bags in the box, and we wrapped it in a black cloth, and then the flag.
Moving on to the second image.
That is Quentin in my back seat, how he rode with me on the way to Macon.
One moment, please, Ryan.
I don't know about you guys, but I think she ought to be done the same way Quentin was done.
What was the date that
He should be killed, thrown in the trash can, and let it run over and left out there.
On or around November 21st.
We talked a little bit earlier about the defendant telling you via text message on October 24, and then in an interview on October 31, she actually hadn't driven to Azalea and had been dating with her phone or something like that. Do you remember talking about that?
I do.
Did she eventually admit to you that wasn't true?
Yes. That about Danny.
Yeah.
Yes.
And was that on November 21st in her final interview?
Yes.
Okay. And did she tell you at that time that what she had said about Danny on October 24th and October 31 was just a theory that she was throwing out there?
That's correct.
One moment, please.
Another thing I think they should do, I think they should set a screen right in front of her, and every picture that pops up, she should be able to look at it. She should be able to. No, she shouldn't. She should be made to look at it and not look away. Every picture, every
Yes.
What was that?
photo.
7C-AT-
Fucking cold.
366-5337.
Say that last part again.
366-5337. The Quentin Simon case.
I just asked you I expected you to have to refer to your notes. How is it that you remember that? Tell your notes.
we saw it a lot.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Judge, can we approach for a second?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute break, come back. We're going to recess for that period of time. Same instructions, don't discuss the case, don't look up anything about the case, no research. All right, 15 minutes.
All right, guys, that's all I can take with this. I'll come back tomorrow and we'll do the whole day tomorrow. They're supposed to be bringing the Westons on there. And y'all be looking for it. We'll be watching it. I won't start till about like maybe after lunchtime. So I appreciate y'all coming in. Y'all do me a favor on the way out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Just go over to Court TV and watch the rest of it. That's where it's being shown at. But y'all have a good night. We will be doing a show this Thursday on the end.
I watched. Thank you very much. That'll be about 5:50. Excuse me, 5:35. A little bit more than 15 minutes.
All right, y'all be good. Stay safe. If y'all would like to, you can donate to the channel.
Okay.
That's not required.
Yeah,
you don't have to do it. But there's
been
a
a long
PayPal.
day.
There's a Cash App if you'd like to. You don't have
keep
to.
an eye on the jurors as well. So,
But I will be on tomorrow.
Thank you.
Y'all be good. Stay safe. And if it's cold where you're at, stay warm. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Y'all be good. And love y'all. Love each and every one of you.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love